Hey everybody, how you doing today? It's Kelly, pastor, police chaplain, communications coach who helps couples communicate better so that they can have the lifelong marriage that they really want, and author of the book Turn It Up: How to Have the Lifelong Marriage That You Really Want. So, I'm here today with part 3 of a series on how to get what you need in your marriage. Today's topic is this: what do you do when your spouse fails to complete the request that you made? All right. Have you ever had this happen to you? That you said please, that you made a smart request, maybe just like the ones that we did in the previous video. You made a smart request. You spelled it out for him. It was specific, measurable, action-oriented, reasonable, and time-limited. You told him when, you told him what, and you know what? He just didn't follow through. He just didn't do it. What can you do about that? That's what today's topic is. Why do we fail to complete requests, and what you can do about it if you're the one making the request? All right, so today let's dive into this. I think this is really going to help you. Once again, this is part 3 in a series. Part 1, we looked at making smart requests. Part 2, we looked at how to respond. Today, part 3, this is what do you do if there's a failure to complete requests? Because this is a big part of it. And I've heard this a lot from spouses. Hey, I did what you told me to do, Kelly. I made a smart request. I asked nicely. I even said please. And yet he or she just didn't do what they said they're going to do. So what can you do about that? Well, let's look at the reasons why we fail to respond and why we fail to complete requests, even though we made a promise to do so. The first one is that there's a lack of knowledge or skill. So, and this I think is something that guys struggle with, because we hate to admit that we don't know how to do something. We want to be the knight in shining armor. We want to ride in on our big horse and save the day and be the hero for our families, for our wives. And so when your wife comes to you and says, hey, honey, would you do this? And you're thinking to yourself, well, I'll try. I'm not really sure if I know how. I don't really know what that's going to be like. I don't have the tools. I don't have the training, but yeah, why not? Let's give it a go. But then because you're afraid of it, or because you're afraid of failing, that's probably it, you don't do it. Okay, so a lack of knowledge or skill. So the thing to do here is, first off, admit it to your spouse. Hey, I would love to, honey, but I'm not really sure I know how. Well, then, so the reason we fail to complete requests is because there's a lack of knowledge or skill. So if you think that might be the reason, by the way, ask your husband or your wife if you made the request of her. Are you struggling maybe, or the reason you haven't done this is because you don't know how? Yeah, that's kind of why I've been procrastinating, because I'm not really sure how to do this, okay? So offer to help, or offer to get them help, or get them some help via the online resources that are out there. YouTube has tons of videos on how to do stuff. Recently, I built a backyard shed in my yard. And let me tell you, it's probably one of the biggest projects that I ever did. Well, a couple of things really helped me. One is that I asked a friend of mine to come and help, because standing up, it was 8 feet by 12 feet. And this thing was huge. And compared to building a house, it's easy. It's no big deal. A skilled carpenter or an experienced carpenter could do it right away, probably in just a couple of days. But for me, because I don't know and I've never done anything of this big, it was a huge, huge task. So anyways, I asked a friend of mine to help me, and then I looked it up on YouTube, especially doing the roof. I've never put on a roof in my life. I don't know how to lay shingles. I don't know what you got to put underneath. And YouTube spelled it out for me. It was awesome. And I got out there and I got it done. And it's like, hey, look, honey, we got us a shed. I did it. There was such a sense of completion and celebration when we finished the thing. So if your husband or wife doesn't know how to do something, help them, get them the resources that they need. Okay. The other reason why, and I think this is super common, why we don't complete requests is a lack of time. Okay, so now two things can be done here about this. First off, when you make the request, make sure the person understands the time needed it by. And then what you need to do then as well is if you're the one receiving the request, if as you start out to say that you go, yes, honey, I'll have that done by Friday, by dinner time. So now you've agreed upon a time. But if other things hit, if you get busy, maybe you even forgot about it because it's 3 or 4 days away and you're like, yeah, I'll get to it. Yeah, I'll get to it. So then Friday afternoon, you finally get started and now you don't have enough time to complete it. Well, what you need to do there is fess up. You need to open up. You need to say, honey, I know I said Friday by 5. I can't do it by then. You need to say something in advance. But if you're on the receiving end and maybe your spouse, you know that they haven't made any progress on it and it's coming up and the due date is there. First off, you got to agree on the due date. But if that's been done and they're just not getting it done, you could say, hey, honey, do you still have time to do this? And if he doesn't have time, well, there's two things you can do. You can extend the time, or the other thing that you can do is you can help this person reprioritize their other commitments. I know when I had an assistant at my job at the church, and I would ask her to do something and give her a deadline for it, I could tell by the look on her face that it was going to be like, okay, this one's going to be hard. How will I get everything done? So what we would do is we would look at the list of everything that I had asked her to do, and I would reprioritize. Okay, I know I asked you last week to do this, and now I'm asking you to do that. How are you going to get it all done by this time? Here's the deal. This one's more important than that one. So reprioritize the time that you gave it, the task, that you've assigned or requested, not assigned. We don't do that to our husband or wife. We can do that to an employee, which is kind of what I did. I made an assignment, but I don't want you, by the way, to make assignments with each other in your marriage. Instead, make requests and let the other person say yes or let them say no. So perhaps it's a lack of time. The other thing that keeps us from fulfilling requests is lack of understanding the importance of the task. So they say yes, they agree upon the time, but you can tell that they're just kind of putting it off and procrastinating. Maybe they don't understand how important it is to you. I've fallen into this trap. My wife had asked me to do something, and I agreed to, but it was like, yeah, who cares? It's not all that important. There's other things that are more vital. So you want to sit down, or at least, have a conversation and say, honey, this is why this is really important. It's going to save us money. It's going to save us time. Or just, you know what? I hate the clutter in our garage. It's hard for me to get in and out of my car because there's so much junk in the way. And I'm really having a hard time with this. It's really making me frustrated. Would you please help me out here and get this thing done? This is really important to me. So either it's because of a benefit that's coming, or maybe it's just because you want your husband or wife to do something nice for you to eliminate or reduce some of the frustration or stress that's in your life. And it's something that can be easily fixed. Okay, so help them understand the importance of it and encourage them to follow through. The other reason, though, that we fail to complete requests is a lack of structure. Maybe your husband or wife is one of those things they're not a thing, a kind of person that's very unstructured in their life. In other words, they don't make plans, they don't set goals, they just kind of do whatever they feel like doing at the time. So help them with some structure. Here's what I mean by that. Hey, today by noon, Could you put aside all these other things that you're doing and make it a priority to get this done? Or today by 5, by the time I get home, can you follow through and get this done for us? It's really important. This is really going to help me, or this is going to make me happy. You could tell them that, and especially if they're a people pleaser, they're going to love to make you happy. So that really, creates a dynamic, but give them some structure. Or what you could do as well is that you could give them break it down into specific parts. If it's a very complicated project that you've asked them to do, you could say, hey, let's make a plan. Let's set up, would it be helpful, by the way, if I kind of, let's put together sort of a plan. Do this, then do this, then do this, then do this. Yeah, you know what? That would be helpful. So now you've given them some structure to follow. The other reason why we don't complete tasks is simply a lack of desire. They just don't want to do it, okay? Now, the thing here is to make it okay to say no, okay? Because here's what happens. A lot of couples fall into this trap. The husband doesn't want to say no. He doesn't want to disappoint you. And it can happen to a wife as well. But I see it a lot with husbands, okay? Because guys, we like to, as I said earlier, ride in on our horse and just save the day and be the hero, okay? And so we say yes, but we really just don't want to do it. So make it okay to say no. In the last video I did, I talked about a parable that Jesus said, where there was a man who had 2 sons, and one son went to, he asked both to go into the vineyard and work, and one said yes, one said no. The one who said no later went and did it, but the one who said yes, then didn't do it all. And what happens when we say yes and then don't do it is that it creates disappointment and it builds a lack of trust. And you want your spouse to trust you, don't you? So that's the other reason, by the way, that we don't complete requests, because we can't say no. But if it's a lack of desire, the thing to do is just own it. Honey, I kind of want to, but honestly, I just don't want to. I don't want to get dirty. I don't want to get messy. I just don't like doing that kind of thing. Well, at least now you're honest about it and you can figure out another way to get that need met. If you don't want to mow the lawn, just say so, because you don't like it. It's hot, it's sweaty, it's dirty. You get dust all over, you get grass in your nose. It makes you sneeze afterwards. You just hate mowing the lawn. So if you don't want to do it, just say so. But on the receiving side, make it okay for the person to say no, and then figure out some other way to do it. And so here's what is the best thing to receive, or why do people fail to meet requests, is this. It's a lack of knowledge. It's a lack of time, a lack of understanding the importance. Maybe it's a lack of structure. Maybe another one is a lack of desire, or it's a lack of being able to say no. A lack of support, by the way, that's a final one that I wanted to share. Sometimes you just feel overwhelmed, okay? It's not just a matter of I don't know how to do this. I can't do it because I don't have the help that I need. So find the person that help. Like I said, you can go to YouTube, or maybe it's just breaking it down, like I said earlier, and getting some different, structures in place, maybe coming up with a plan, but they just feel overwhelmed. They look at this task and they don't know where to start and they don't know what to do. So they just procrastinate, or they fail to follow through on it. So you can respond to that by setting up some kind of structure and then providing support. By the way, the other way to really help with this when it comes to support is this. Ask for a progress report. So, for example, if you said on Sunday, hey, can you do this by Friday at dinner time? Okay, dinner's at 6:00. So he says, yes, I'm going to get this done by Friday at dinner time. Or maybe it's Friday night and you want it done by Sunday at dinner time over the weekend. what you could do then, let's use that one as an example because I think that's a bit more realistic. So Friday night, but the due time, I'm sorry, is Sunday by dinner. Okay. So what you could do maybe on Friday night. Okay. So now Saturday night comes and you see that the guy didn't do anything at all about the task on Saturday. Well, ask him for an update. Hey, what's the plan? Are we still on track to get this done by Sunday by dinner time? What are you thinking about doing? Is there anything I can do to help you? Is there any support that you need? Are you going to be able to do this? And what you do is you recommit and refocus it. And by the way, like I taught in the last video, if the person's not able to do what they've asked you to do by the time that you've asked them to do it, well, renegotiate, come up with a counter offer. Offer a counter offer. Hey, if you can't get it done by Sunday at dinner time, when could you? Could you get it done by Wednesday? Could you get it done, next weekend? But you're counting on that person to follow through and to get it done. Finally, the last thing is that if someone makes you a promise and says that they're going to do it and then they don't, okay? I mean, go through these reasons, ask them if they need help, ask them if they need support, ask them if they need structure, ask them if they need to reprioritize, make it okay to say no. But if they keep saying yes, 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 I'm going to do it, and no, I don't need any help, and I can get it done, and no big deal, I'll get it done, but they still don't, okay? Here's the final thing you need to do. You need to call them to account. And basically it's this: honey, you said that you would do this by this time. It's not done, is it? Well, no, of course it's not done. You know it, he knows it, she knows it, right? And you say, well, I need to know what I can count on from you moving forward. This was a big deal to me. When you say yes, I believe you, I trust you, that your yes means yes. And if you can't, I need to know that. So please, it's okay to say no. I'm not going to get mad at you. I may get a little disappointed, but believe me, it's much better for you and for us as a couple if you say yes to do it. And if you can't say no, let your yes be yes and your no be no. Jesus taught us that in Matthew 5. So call them to account. What can I count on from you moving forward? And let them remind them that this is a trust issue. I need to know I can trust you. If you say, yes, I'm going to do something, that's important to me because now I'm trusting that you're going to get it done. And if it's a small thing, it doesn't really matter. I need to know, can I depend on you? Can I trust you? Usually a straight conversation like that is going to spur someone to action because unless they have some kind of, psychological or mental deficit that they just can't fulfill requests. And if they have that, then accept that fact and deal with it. They just can't get it done. I heard of a lady who had like dyslexia, and it was her brother that was talking about it. And, he was saying, she's a smart person, but she just can't follow through on certain tasks. Well, if that's the case, then make up for it. Figure out another way to get that done or get that person some help getting those things done. Even though they want to, they just can't. That's a different issue. But if they are able to, but just don't because they're procrastinating or there's a lack of structure or whatever, you need to call them to account. Have an honest and straight conversation and basically just say, hey, what can I count on moving forward? If that person is capable of doing that task and they love you and care for you, then they're probably going to say, yeah, I'm sorry, I failed, I let you down, but you know what? I'll get it done next Friday or next Sunday, next weekend, I'll get it done. It'll be done by next Sunday at dinner time, just like I promised. And then once again, follow through. Ask for a progress report. What's going on? What do you need from me? How can I help you? Are you on track? Are you going to get it done? That's a way, by the way, on how to get what you need in your marriage. You make smart requests, you let the person respond to the request, and then if there's still a failure to respond or to complete the request, have a straight conversation. That's it for now. I hope this was helpful for you guys. May God bless you and may God bless your marriage. Be sure to check out my other resources and videos. You can get a copy of my book. Go to my website, which is Turn It Up, all one word, turnitup.coach. turnitup.coach, and check out the other stuff there. And then the other resources, there's a YouTube channel that you can watch them there. There's a podcast that you can find it there as well. So God bless you, and may God bless your marriage. Bye for now.